Well, good morning, everyone. Jerry here. It is 7:59 Pacific time on Saturday, February 28th. It is question and answer time. And hang on, let me turn this down. It is 7:59 Pacific time on Saturday, February 20th. There we go. I'm just watching it live on another computer to make sure I can see your questions. Now, today we're going to use the chat box. So you can see down there under the YouTube here, under the chat box, I already put something there to ask a question. Use this chat box. So if you have a question, please do use that chat box. I will see it and I will try to answer the question the best I can. Now, remember, questions should be about French Polynesia, obviously. Hopefully, cruising in French Polynesia or places to stay for a pre or post stay during a cruise, or general information about the islands. So I want to make sure we stay focused on those particular subjects, okay? So anything within that, I'm going to turn down my gain here just a little. It's a little hot. Saying my microphone's a little hot. Oop, that's a little too much. There we go. Okay, so obviously you can see this beautiful picture here. This is on the ferry going from Papeete over to Moorea, because my topic for my presentation today will be about the island of Moorea. But again, as you know, I always wait, about 10 minutes here to see if there's going to be any questions. Man, I keep on. Hey, it's just telling me I'm live on YouTube. Anyhow, obviously, I like to give about 10 minutes here just to see if there's any questions. So if you have a question, again, use the chat box there on the YouTube. And I'm looking at it every once in a while. Let me move this over a little bit just so I can maybe see it a little bit better if people are asking questions. So, what's going on today? Whoa, yeah. Let's see, overnight, our time again. I guess we're doing stuff in the Middle East. I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to get into political stuff here or anything like that. But obviously, it has come and there is activity over there. So hopefully, again, everyone just sort of settles in a little bit. I know we sort of been knowing it's coming, and I don't know if that's hindered anyone from wanting to go on vacations and things like that. But I think this is going to be probably pretty quick and be done. And obviously, hopefully, everyone jumps on board and said it's time to go on vacation, especially to the South Pacific on a small cruise ship going with me. So, anyhow, any questions? I don't see anything yet this morning again. This is the first time I saw the island of Moorea was in 1990. Well, it was before the turn of the century. And it was for our honeymoon. And my better half and I, we were running over there. And of course, we took the ferry over. And Moorea stood there bigger than life 11 miles away. And as we got closer and closer to the island there, I kept on noticing it. Look at those jagged peaks. It just becomes more spectacular all the time. And I'm looking and I'm looking, and I halfway expected that King Kong was going to jump out behind one of the peaks. I mean, it was that stunning. Just took my breath away. And I was hooked. I was hooked. So 35 trips later, and number 36 coming this year, we will return and have a great time, of course. We love going to the South Pacific, in particular French Polynesia. And we've been on 16 different islands in French Polynesia and 6 different small ships. So we know the islands pretty well down there as far as where most people ever see. And a lot of places we've seen that very few people have seen. No questions yet. So, ask a question. There's not much I cannot give you an answer for. And so we're waiting here a little bit to see if anyone's going to take advantage of it this morning and ask a question. Okay. What else do I want to share? Our honeymoon on Moorea. We stayed at the Sofitel, and they gave us an upgrade for it because it was our honeymoon. And then we got a freebie tour to the waterfalls and around the island. That was wonderful. And just so you can all have a good laugh, because we were going on the budget plan. But the first time we went there, again for our honeymoon, together, Zell had already gone there. She loved it. And so when I asked her to marry me, I said, marry me and I'll take you every year. And I've kept my promise. But back to our honeymoon. So we stayed at the Sofitel. This is back in the day that even in economy, you could take two suitcases. And so, excuse me, one of the suitcases we had was filled with food. We were going on the budget plan. And virtually, I'd done my studying to find out what was readily available and inexpensive as far as eating in French Polynesia. You know, things like baguettes. Back then, a 2 foot baguette was 25 cents. I think it's only about 50 cents now, but back then it was 25 cents. And so we knew that, and a lot of the local uh, fresh fruit and things like that. You know, it was really cheap and everything else. So I planned everything I threw in the suitcase would go along well with what we had readily available for a reasonable price while we were there. So needless to say, we did our honeymoon on the cheap, and we had a wonderful time. And we went out a couple of times and things like that. But for the most part, because food is very expensive in French Polynesia, we took our food and we, like I say, our honeymoon was on the cheap. So now you know how, you know, I want to go to Moorea here. It brings back so much memories. I'll show a picture too of the little safari that we had for our honeymoon because we stop there every year and we take a new picture, and it just brings us back to our honeymoon. And so it's one of those things that we've seen the pictures progress over the years. You know, I get a little older, I get a little grayer, I get a little bit more portly down here. But needless to say, it's still a lot of fun to stop there every year and take another picture in front of the room that we had for a week in paradise. So no questions yet. We'll wait here another, what do we got? Another 4 minutes here to see if a question comes up. And hopefully everything is looking good to you guys. I'm seeing that I have very few drop frames, so it should be looking pretty good. Of course, I'm looking at it here on my laptop because I'm looking again for the chat box here to see if anyone is going to be brave enough to ask me a question. Okay? Remember, the whole idea of these Saturday mornings are to answer your questions. And sure, I share a few pictures, I give you a few stories, but really it's designed to answer your question. Okay? So take advantage of it. I mean, if we go down a couple of months and nobody asks any questions, I may rethink, do I need to do these? Or do I want to enjoy my Saturday mornings making homemade breakfast or something, you know? But you get the idea. I'm hoping that there's going to be a demand for this. And you guys can ask a question. And when I answer, I mean, you can ask a question, but when I answer it, everyone gets to take advantage of those answers. Okay? So there's a lot of times people, they just won't ask. And then somebody asks a question and that other person goes, oh, I was thinking the same thing. And now they get the answer. But there are no answers if there's no questions. So come on, ask a question. I'm looking here. Nothing yet. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Okay, all right. Give it a few more minutes here and then we'll get on to what I'm going to share this morning. So, hey, it's going to be 80 degrees today here in the central coast of California. And yeah, 80 degrees. And yes, I got my shorts on already. So, you know, it's interesting. We call where I live, which is, I don't mind telling you, I live in Paso Robles, California. It's sort of like we have two seasons. We have winter and summer, with maybe a couple of weeks of spring and a couple of weeks of fall. But pretty much it's winter and summer. So we've been going from freezing temperatures at night to all of a sudden today, 80 degrees. So you sort of get, oh, I'm tired of the cold, give me the heat. And as you're getting the heat for about a month, you go, oh, give me the cold. But the nice thing about, you know, it's 30 minutes over to the coast. So if it's on a cold winter day, we can go over to the coast, you know, and it'll still be 60 degrees to go get some fish and chips. And also, if it's too hot in the summertime, we can go over to the coast, get some fish and chips, and it'll be 60 degrees. So it's not too bad. 30-minute drive over to the coast. So We live in wine country, surrounded by 350 wineries. So it's not too bad. Let's see. Any questions? No, no questions. You guys are disappointing me this morning. So anyhow, let's get on with today's presentation. Oh, and if you still got a question, go ahead and ask it. And I'll look over there periodically to see if there's any questions coming in. And if there are, I'll try to answer your questions. But let's get on with the presentation. Like I said here, you are looking at the top of the ferry. This is the Amity 5 and, oh, 6, Amity 6. And we're heading, no, but actually when I took this picture, it was the Amity 5. But anyhow, we're heading on over there to Moorea. And it's always just stunning as the island gets closer and closer and closer, and you're just overwhelmed looking at the rugged, mountainous Moorea. And Moorea is an easy island to love. Interestingly enough, because I've talked to virtually hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people over my years of travel, and most people will tell you their favorite island is Moorea. So, and there's a lot to love about it. But let me share some pictures again here. Let me move forward here. This is the beach here over in the background right here. This is the Sofitel right here, and this is the public beach that borders the Sofitel right here. It's about this beach here is an honest quarter of a mile, maybe a third of a mile long, but it stops right here at the property line with the Sofitel. And so for you staying there at the Sofitel, you can come over to the public beach and so forth. But people on the public beach cannot go over to the beach at the Sofitel. That's private. But it is a wonderful, wonderful public beach here. It's beautiful. Let's move forward here. Oh, do we have a question? Oh, well, let's see. Well, not a question. Off topic. We were just up in Paso Robles and visited. So, the light show over there, Sincero. Yes, a lot of fun. Our tourist trap, but it's very beautiful, and of course, but it's easy to drop several $100s there if you're going to go there, see the beautiful lights, and get dinner and things like that. Man, it's a couple $100 at least. But anyhow, I'm glad you enjoyed that. All right, back to the subject. Let's see if we get any more questions. Right, let's move forward here. And here we are. This is my better half and me in front of the Sofitel room we stayed at for a week for our honeymoon. And again, we come back every year and take another picture in front of this room. And it just reminds us, this must have been taken a few years ago. I'm not quite as, I look a lot thinner here. I still got a little color in my hair. Yeah, this must have been 4 or 5 years ago. But anyhow, it's sort of fun to go to the Sofitel. Beautiful property. This is downtown, the main village here. I won't even try to pronounce it, but the main village here in Moorea. This is a downtown picture, pretty much typical of what you're going to see. Over here is Carmeline's, the bakery, which is a lot of fun. A lot of nice boutique shops here. Of course, banks, pharmacy, grocery stores. But this is downtown, the main community in Moorea. And this is my beautiful better half. Again, she is feeding the horses on the way up to the Belvedere. Here's the nickname we call Valley High, of course. And it's just a beautiful framed up spot. You know, we always grab a couple apples, and we bring apples to the horses, and they just love enjoying the apples, and we enjoy taking pictures of them with this beautiful backdrop here. Just gorgeous. This is Carmeline's right here. This is what you can see at Carmeline's, and lots of French pastries and things like that. And they also have homemade ice cream there. So it's a great place to stop if you're in the main village. Get a little pastry, get a little dish of ice cream, maybe both. But this is awfully yummy. Great French pastries. This is on top of the Belvedere. And again, we have Cook's Bay over here and Opanupu Bay here. And it's a wonderful place to take a photo, you know. Look at that. It frames up nice and everything else. Wish they didn't quite have this backdrop of this fence right here, but you get the idea. It's still a beautiful place to take a lovely picture of the anyone, one of you, two of you, family, whatever. Great place. This is taken in Cooks Bay here, and this is at the old Valley High, and this is the old restaurant they had there and so forth, which we would stop at often just to get pancakes. It was like $3 for a stack of pancakes, including log cabin syrup. But yeah, this is in Cooks Bay here again, just beautiful. A little overcasty that particular day. Another picture from that particular old Valley High of looking into Cooks Bay and so forth. Just beautiful. Love the clouds, love the peaks. Just beautiful. This is one of my places I frequent if I want something to eat on the cheap. In Moorea, it's called Snack Rotui. It's in Pow Pow. P-A-O, P-A-O, Pow Pow. And if you look on a map for Pow Pow, you'll find it. This is right at the end of the bay. And you can go in there and get something to eat. Rub shoulders with the locals, because a lot of locals eat here because it is priced so reasonably. This is me right here sitting at that snack, you know, this little place here. What do I call it? Gosh, remember the name. Snack Rotui. There we go. Snack Rotui. So I'm sitting there, and they got sandwiches in here and quiche and some other things to sort of eat on, but reasonably. I mean, two people for nowadays for $15, you can go have lunch, two of you, and rub shoulders with the locals here. It's a lot of fun. Look at the prices here. Now this is a few years ago, so maybe it's 10%, 15% more now. But look at that. You can get a ham sandwich, a foot long. Yeah, it's rather basic. You know, not a whole lot of ham, not a whole lot of cheese, maybe a little lettuce, mayonnaise. But look at that. Basically $2. Okay, so probably today it's $2.50 or $2.75. But this is a inexpensive place to eat. Let's move forward here. Quiche. The quiche is good. $3. Look at that nice ham and cheese quiche. This is another little place we enjoy frequenting to eat that's reasonable. Lilikoi. This is right across the street from the Hilton on Moorea. So if you're staying at the Hilton, you can walk across the street, hang a right when you get to the road, look across the street down about 50, 60 yards, and you'll see the sign there. Free internet access, owned by a little French lady that's a doll. And you can go over there and enjoy something for a whole lot less than what you would be paying to eat at the Hilton. Look at that. Look at this cute little place right here. Is that darling or what? Look at that. I love this little place. Here's the menu. I know it's a little hard to see, but in essence, you can look here and see, well, can I read some of this stuff here? Ham and cheese, breakfast sandwich. You get the idea here, but it's reasonably. Most of the stuff here is between $5 and $10, so very reasonable. And so if you're looking at a place to eat and not have to pay the excessive prices over at the resorts, this is a good place to check out. This is the other public beach on Moorea, which is just past the Hilton before you come into Opunupu Bay. There is some decent snorkeling out here. They have restrooms, lots of parking. So this is a place, places under the shade here with trees, so you can grab, grab a couple of sandwiches there at Snack Rotui. Then come over here and enjoy this beautiful ambiance and looking over the lagoon here right before you enter into Opunupu Bay. Lovely, lovely. This is looking into the bay again. Look at that. Sorry, the picture's a little small, but you get the idea. Just stunning. This is one of my favorite places to take pictures as well. And this is on the way up to the Belvedere, right before the horses that you can feed apples to and so forth. There's a little dirt road that cuts off to the right before the road turns to the left. And you get this beautiful, beautiful place to take pictures of Valley High, or what we call Valley High. And you can imagine yourself standing there with that right here. And then against the fence, what a beautiful backdrop to take your picture with. Oh, looks like we got a picture here. Let's see. Uh, the question is, do you recommend cash or credit card for these smaller local places? Most of the inexpensive places are not going to accept credit cards. So, yes, you want to have a little local cash. Now, they will take US dollar, they will take the euro and things like that, but you always will get your best rate by using their local currency and so forth. So I always, before I go or first thing when I get there, I convert, get a couple $100 in their local currency, and that's going to go into these small places to eat or some little boutique places, or like when you get off the tender, there's usually some local vendors there and so forth. Some will accept credit cards, but most will not. So hopefully I answered your question there. Okay, let's move forward here. And these are, where's the beef in on the island of Moorea? This is on the way up to the Belvedere, and there was a little herd of cattle there. So I got out there and took a picture of it and so forth. Good beef, by the way, they have there. Oh, we have a redo on a picture of my lovely self feeding the horses. Maybe the first one was on the way up, and maybe this one was taken on the way back down. Who knows? Actually, I can see it's arranged the foliage on top a little bit different. Maybe this is a different year, because we usually do it every year when we going heading up to the Belvedere. We always bring some apples with us. Let's continue to move forward. This is the ag school on the way up to the Belvedere, halfway up, and they got this stand here with homemade ice cream again, or made there at the ag school. Lots of local jellies and jams and so forth. You can get a few other things to eat here, something to wet your whistle and so forth. Lots of shade, some tables to enjoy and so forth. But this is halfway going up to the Belvedere. There's that beautiful view from the Belvedere again. Cooks Bay, Opanupu Bay. Oh, another redo. How do we get another redo here? Let's move forward. Here we go. Okay, one of the fun things to do on Moorea, because it's so hilly and you go through the fields and the dirt roads and things like that, through the pineapple fields and so forth. This one, just they're coming down from the Belvedere right now, is the quads. And of course, they'll handle two people apiece, and it's priced out for each quad. So if the second person wants to hop on there, it doesn't cost any more. Now, what you need to know here is um, a lot of, I won't say a lot, but one of the chances of getting hurt when you're in French Polynesia is either on a scooter or a quad like this. You got to be careful. I'm not telling you not to do it. Just be careful, especially if you're not used to riding one of these. You know, don't worry about the rest of the crowd that you need to speed up to make everyone else happy. Go at the pace that's safe for you, but just be careful. But what a wonderful way to see the islands. Let's see here. Let's continue on. There's out in the pineapple fields. Look at that fresh. The colors are so vibrant there. I love taking pictures of, in this case, the pineapple and so forth. And by the way, the Moorea or the pineapple that comes from Moorea is probably some of the very best in all the world. It's just succulent. They're smaller. They're sweeter. If you think you want to taste good pineapple, you go to Hawaii. No, 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 no. You want to go to French Polynesia, and in particular, the island of Moorea. Let's see what else we got here. Here's another thing. This is taken from the top of the Belvedere here, and you'll see the sign when you're up there. These are all hiking trails from the Belvedere. Here's Opanupu Bay and so forth. We're up here at the Belvedere where this cuts off. But there's all sorts of hiking trails with beautiful vistas, absolutely stunning and beautiful. So if you're a hiker, you want to go to the top of the Belvedere, look for that sign right there, and pick something that looks exciting for you. But needless to say, you can't go wrong with taking any of the trails. All outstanding. What beautiful panoramic views from up there. And here's, people go, well, how much do pearls cost? Well, to get a decent pearl, you're going to spend a couple of $100. I'm not, and you can spend more than that too. But to get a decent pearl that everyone's going to go ooh and ah on it and so forth, a couple of $100 is pretty normal. But you can get these type of pearls right here. Like if you're going to take them home for souvenirs for people and so forth, you can look at the price here, $10 a piece or two for 15. So this is from one of the tender locations where you get drop off from the ship and so forth. But you can find nice little souvenirs there. But to answer the question that was there, this particular vendor wouldn't take any credit cards. You would have wanted local cash. But the tender drop offs, decent prices. It's right there. A lot of fun. But just know you probably want to have a little cash with you. This is another picture taken from this is the tender drop off in, let's see, in Moorea, just past Opanupu Bay. That's right, because the Palgogan usually anchors in Opanupu Bay. So this is the tender drop off location in the shopping. All sorts of different things too. You tikis are there, and all sorts of pearls and jewelry and so forth. But a lot of fun, especially if you're a shopper. This is the Octagon Church there at the tender drop off there in Moorea in Opanupu Bay. This is the oldest Protestant church in French Polynesia. Beautiful church. I've sat there on a Sunday. You can see most of the ladies, they wear white and hats and things like that going in there. I've sat right here. There's a little bench right here against the side of the church. And I just sat there and listened to the worship music because they sing typically in their native Maori language. And it's absolutely beautiful. So I'm not telling you not to go in there and go to church. It's a lot of fun too. We've done that as well. But at least take the opportunity, if it's on a Sunday, just park yourself for 10, 15 minutes, especially during worship, and listen to their native language. It's absolutely beautiful. This is looking through the window of that same church there. Again, I'm sitting, on the bench there, listening to them sing. Just beautiful. And it's a beautiful church, too. Now, another place that people always want to go, where can I get something unusual? Well, excuse me, they're called wedding blankets or a tififi. Tififi. And I may not be pronunciating that correct. This was one in the Papatore, which is where the tender drop-off typically is for the Palgogan. So when you get off the tender, you can walk to the main street, hang a right, go down about, probably 200-300 yards, and you'll see this sign on the right-hand side of the road. And she's a wonderful lady, and she designs all these blankets. And they're called wedding blankets. The locals buy them when somebody's getting married and so forth. But it's a beautiful present or something you want to take back as a souvenir of French Polynesia. And you're on the Palgogan or a bigger ship, and they're using that same tender location there in Opanupu Bay. Take a walk, hang a right when you get to the main road, go down 200 or 300 yards, and you'll see the sign. And here she is. She's making a blanket right now, and she makes them all by hand. There's a sewing machine in the back. She's doing some embroidery work on this particular one. And she's just a sweet lady. You don't need an appointment. She works out of her home. But if you go knock on her door, she'll be more than happy to show you her stuff. There she is with the blanket she was working on right there. Look at all these other ones in the background. But isn't that beautiful? And, she'll design it, and or you can buy one off the wall. Or if there's something in particular you want, she'll design it based upon what you're sort of thinking, and then she'll ship it to you back in the States or Canada or whatever. She'll ship it to you. Nice lady, beautiful work. This is one of my favorite places to eat. It's one of the favorite places for all the locals to eat. A little bit more pricey than the other place I showed you, but that's Snack Mahana. If I was to pick one place in the whole island of Moorea, that would be my number one place to eat. It is Snack Mahana. It is only open for lunch. Now, if you're not there by 11:30 in the morning, you will not get in. If you're there at 12, you're likely not going to get in for lunch. So you got to be there at the latest at 11:30, maybe 11:15, but it's well worth it. Reasonably priced and absolutely fantastic food. Right on the lagoon edge as well. Here's their menu. Now, this is a few years back, so things have gone up a little bit here. But you can see, like, one of my favorites here, well, Zell's favorite is the mahi mahi, the grilled mahi mahi right here with rice or fries. 20 bucks. But fresh that morning and absolutely a gob of food. I usually get something up here a little bit different. I get the chevettes here, a cocoa, or sometimes I'll do something a little bit different here. But usually that's what I get. Or here, this is my favorite here, the shrimp in curry sauce. 22 bucks. Some of the yummiest shrimp and curry you've ever tasted right there. So wonderful place right along the edge of the lagoon. Again, towards La Petite Village, or if you were to turn, if you were at the tender location again in Opanupu Bay, and you on the right on the road, go down a couple hundred yards, you get into the place there, the lady making the blankets. If you keep going, you'll come to Snack Mahana. Now it's a little bit of a walk, probably a mile, but you can do it. Excuse me, dry throat. But make sure you take some water with you because, it is a mile walk and you're in some heat and humidity. Excuse me. Sorry. But this is, again, our favorite place to eat. 50 bucks, we're in and out and had a wonderful, wonderful meal. Remember, the norm is not to tip in French Polynesia. Just know that the nicer restaurants, like in the resorts or the nicer restaurants in the main villages and things like that, the places where you're going to drop 100 bucks or more to eat for two people, the tip is already built in. You don't see it, but it's already built in. It's required by law over there. So they usually already have about a 15 to 18% tip worked into the system. So if you tip them, you're double tipping, okay? So just know that tipping is not the norm in French Polynesia. Let's go. Here's that Snack Mahana again. Here it is against the lagoon over here. And you can sit out here on the deck right on the lagoon. Or they got these cute little places for four people to sit at that's covered from the sun and so forth. Just a real cute little place. Again, if we were to pick one place in all of Moorea that was our favorite place to eat, this is it. There's beautiful Zell, right on the table, right on the lagoon, enjoying a Diet Coke while I take the picture. Look at that. Don't you want to be there right now? I know I do. Again, our favorite place. Now, another thing, if you keep going, I'm not telling you to walk this here, but just right before you get to the old Intercontinental Resort there on Moorea, there's Cocoa Beach Transfer here, and there is a restaurant out there that's very, very good. And here's their hours, and here's the number for pickup and so forth. They'll pick you up at your resort and shuttle you over to the Twin Motus on Moorea over there. And that's where Cocoa Beach is. And great place to have lunch. Good little place to snorkel if you're a snorkeler. But you got to go towards the reef. You got to go swim out towards the reef from Cocoa Beach right there. And you'll get some excellent snorkeling, some larger fish and so forth. But a wonderful place to spend the afternoon. Not only to have lunch, reasonably priced again for quality food, but to have a wonderful snorkel experience. Let's keep going here. These are the Twin Motu. There's one here, there's one here. If I was to go around this little opening, Cocoa Beach would be right in here. But look at that. Here's the old Intercontinental Resort right back here. Look at this. Is this beautiful? Don't you, again, just want to be walking in the water right there? Just beautiful. Another thing that's fun to do when you're driving, we usually rent a car for at least for one of the days while we're on Moorea, and we'll go around and here's these ladies, and they have in front of their home, they have their little vegetable fruit stand, and we always stop there and pick it up. Here's these pineapples again. Remember, they're a little smaller than the typical pineapple you're going to see in the store, but much better, much sweeter. absolutely delicious. Look at that. Oh, and they got mangoes and so forth, and all sorts of things, bananas, but we pick on the pineapple. If you ask them, they'll usually cut it right there for you, so you can just pop in the car again a bag or whatever. We always bring a little Tupperware with us to put it in. And by the way, you can bring this back to the United States, not in its form like right here. What they'll do is they'll cut the top and the bottom, the sides off, and so there's only the fruit. And the fruit you can put in a Tupperware, sealed Tupperware, and you can bring that through customs. It's not a problem. They won't let you bring it in like this because they're afraid of bugs being in there and so forth. But again, we sometimes will bring some home, or at least we bring back some fresh juice back home. And another thing is the fish is all around. This is a morning sketch for one of the fishermen right there, and he just has it laid out there. There's some beautiful fish in here. Beautiful fish, colorful. It's a lot of fun. You'll see them on the side of the road, and you stop there. Not that you have to buy anything, but a wonderful picture opportunity again. Churches, beautiful churches there. This is a church on the back side of Moorea, back on the south port, where mostly it's just the locals that live there. There are no resorts back there. There are a few Airbnbs, but for the most part, this is where the locals live. And these beautiful old churches here. Let me show you another one here. Look at that. This is an old Catholic church right here, about 140 years old and so forth. I've taken pictures of this every time I drive around Moorea. I stop here and try to take a better picture than I've ever done before. A lot of it has to do with the lighting. You know that. Getting the lighting right and everything else. I've flown my drone between the towers here and everything else. And speaking of drones, just so you know, because I said the word drone, you have to be licensed in French Polynesia to fly a drone legally. Now, I know there's still people that bring them over there, the little ones and so forth, and they put them up in the air. If they catch you, they will confiscate it. I have a French license, so I can fly legally my drone in French Polynesia. The rules are much more stringent in French Polynesia than, let's say, here back in the United States. Things I can get away with here in the United States, I cannot get away with in French Polynesia. So just know, drones you're supposed to be licensed. Doesn't cost that much money. There's about a 2-hour test and things like that. And to get your license, it's not that difficult. The hardest island to fly around in French Polynesia with a drone is Bora Bora. The only real easy place in Bora Bora is the southeastern part of the lagoon. That's pretty easy to do it there. But every place else, you're over too much of the resorts or the town, and you cannot do that in French Polynesia. You cannot fly over a resort. Let's move forward here again. Now, you're going to go, what in the heck is this picture here? Well, this is the Paul Gauguin, and I know the picture is a little distorted because I was doing a big scan here and so forth. But I have this picture here because a lot of people go over to Moorea, and then they're going to come back and hop on a cruise ship. Well, here's the cruise dock right here. Here's the the ferry terminal. This is the ferry dock, ferry terminal. And it's about, to the first berth here, 100 yards, maybe 125 yards. The further berths, it might be a couple hundred yards. But the point is, you actually can hop on the ferry, come over here, grab your bags, and drag it over here to the ship. You know, you don't need to get a taxi unless if you want to, but you can actually do it yourself. So it's that close. Ferry dock, ships, okay? And there's a parking lot here in between that you just walk through and so forth. Again, this is in Cook's Bay, just that beautiful bay. Just one of my favorite places, like I say, just to sit there and take it in and so forth. So that's all I have to share this morning. You know, every week I'll grab a different file. I got thousands of pictures of French Polynesia. And every once in a while, I'll toss one where it's focused in on one of my group cruises coming up. And by the way, this year that's in November. and I got 25 people already going, and I got room for a couple of more, but I wouldn't want to take more than 30. I never like getting my groups larger than 30 because it loses its intimacy. It's harder for me to manage. It's harder for me to have vendors who can accommodate my entire group. Because remember, I plan all the private excursions with some of the very best vendors in all of French Polynesia. So I'm at 25 right now, so I got room for a couple of more couples or a single and a couple of couples. You get the idea here. By the way, that particular group cruise coming up November 21st of this year is the 11-night itinerary going over to the Cook Islands on the Paul Gauguin. And I have some rooms still that are for singles where there are no single supplement fees. The price I have right now is well over 20% under what you're going to see anywhere else as far as a legitimate price online, because I grab these for a few years in front of anyone else. I grab a contract and my prices stay locked in. They do not go up because the cruise lines usually use dynamic pricing, which means as the ship fills up, the price goes up. But because I already have a static contract, my prices stay the same. So again, I have a couple of more rooms there. In 2027, I have 3 cruises, one from Singapore to Darwin on the Paul Gauguin, and then another one, 2 different runs of the 10-day and the 11-day Tuamotus and Society Islands on the Paul Gauguin. Again, great prices on there. Fabulous. But if you got questions about any of them, simply just contact me here. There's contact information here on my YouTube channel, and I'd be more than happy to give you the flyer or answer your questions on it and so forth. So that's all I have today. There's no more questions. Darn, I was hoping we would have had a couple of more come in there and so forth. But y'all have a good rest of the weekend. Remember, every Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Pacific time, right here on my YouTube channel, you can ask a question and I'll give you my answer, okay? Y'all have a wonderful